Hello, YouTube, and I want to talk today about the subject of the midlife crisis, right? Now, I am not in the middle of a midlife crisis, at least I don't think so, but I think the subject is kind of intriguing, and I kind of want to explore some of these modern life challenges with my own perspective. My perspective as an American. I just turned 51 recently, and I've actually had a couple of years to kind of think of this subject. So I'm not that guy who's going to go out and buy that sports car and, get hair plugs for balding, which obviously I'm not going bald anyway, and start dating some stupid 20-year-old bimbo or anything like that. No, that's not for me. And of course there's the women's version, the crazy Karens who are becoming cat ladies, that kind of situation. But I find it interesting when I see people about my age start to come unraveled or start to figure things out a little bit, right? So it just seems like I meet two types of people overall. I meet the people who are just broken, They get in their 40s and 50s and they just shut down. All their hopes and dreams, are dead. Or they become just depressed, hopeless, sort of gray people, right? And then I see other people who are, by the time they're in their 40s and 50s, they are very successful in all their endeavors, or at least on the outside they appear to be, right? Many of them just kind of get their shit together. They figure out how the world works, how people work. And I would like to think I'm somewhere in between, right? Or maybe I figured out a lot of shit, but I'm still kind of trying to make it work for me, right? So it's a strange thing. I look at people I've known, and it seems as though just I know it's anecdotal and it's observation on my part. It seems that the more you try to conform to the rules imposed on you by other people, the more frustrated and depressed you become when it all unravels. When you attach your identity, your personality, your value system to the cult of society, as I would like to call it, right? And it could be religious forms of that cult. It could be cultural norms. It could be commonly expected perceptions you're supposed to have of things, right? So it seems that when you get really bound by what you believe are to be the rules in a society, that you come apart more when they don't seem to work out or come to fruition, or they turn out to be untrue and you discover that later in life. And I cannot find my little dog. Raven, where you at? I let my dog out here just for a little bit. So it's springtime. Hope you're hearing the birds. Wonderful. Hope that's nice. And occasionally I got these big flatbed trucks coming by. They're really noisy and it really sucks. So I would say that myself, all I can do is express my perspective. Obviously, I'm a Gen X American. I grew up in Wyoming, a very different place, right? And here comes a truck flying on down that dirt road. Thank you very much, or fuck you very much, as I'd like to say. Sometimes I just want to shoot out their tires. Yeah. This little country space I'm on used to be so quiet, so peaceful when I was a kid. My grandparents had this, and now it's just like, I might as well live in a town, right? So, anyway, I think my perspective, I had a unique perspective. People who grow up in some of those wild, remote places in the Rockies understand where I'm coming from. You grow up with a sense of nature being vastly bigger than yourself and imposing their will on you. And you cannot refute nature, no matter what you try to do. And it often, and of course I think it contributed me to becoming more of a Norse Germanic pagan later on, which some of you might be Christian, you might have a different viewpoint, that's okay. I think that it does give me an advantage in how I see the world, in the sense that we see things as cyclical. We don't try to see ourselves as victims. We just realize it is what it is, okay? Nature is what it is. You cannot refuse it. You cannot fight it. You cannot go against it. There are laws of nature, and they are what they are, okay? So when you grow up in an environment where you are exposed to sometimes even dangerous aspects of nature, isolation, extremes in temperatures, that sort of thing, you tend to realize that unlike where I'm at now, I'm in Oklahoma here, and everything is, of course, they get tornadoes. Can't deny that. We're nearing tornado season, and yeah, you can't deny tornadoes as being a symbol of nature's power. But everything is cultivated, everything is fenced in, everything is controlled, everything is measured, okay? It gives you a false sense of domain over nature, of control over nature and natural forces. Now, how this ties into a midlife crisis, I feel like we convince ourselves we're in control of more things than we are, okay? That if we do the right things, we follow the rules, and this is a problem in particular, I think, with some of the Abrahamic views on this. The idea that if you just follow the rules, and I don't just mean that strictly from the religious point of view, from the text that they use, and not all those rules are bad, by the way. Some of them are sensible and logical, and they promote good values and healthy relationships. There's some positives in this. But the idea that if you just stick to the rules, everything works out in the end, and you're working towards acceptance in the end. Ultimately, you're working towards some form of acceptance, right? And now, you don't have to be religious. We see this also in this modern, secular, kind of nihilistic sort of communities that exist here, where if you say the right things politically, if you hold on to the correct viewpoints, if you express yourself a certain way, you're esteemed and respected. So it's a strange thing. When you start to see all that unravel, and the first thing here is finding out who you really are, what your real motives are, not what you've been molded to be by society, the illusions of society. So people start with their parents, their family home, the expectations, the dysfunction. I had a dysfunctional family. They weren't the worst. They weren't the best. They had problems, good and bad, like many Americans do. Had those boomer parents, and they're problematic. They really perpetuated a lot of these cultural norms and expectations that they often didn't live up to themselves, by the way. Give me a moment. I work online, and before work, I'm kind of getting me a little bit of beer here, right? See, that might offend some of you. You shouldn't be drinking this early in the morning. I really don't drink much. But fuck you, I'm having a beer, right? So, all that being said, we have these expectations about relationships, where we should be at with a career, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Even we start to project that onto our children. We have our expectations of our children. For me, when my son got cancer as a child, all that shit went out the window early for me. I had all these plans for what sports my son was going to play, what he was going to do academically, probably where he was going to work, maybe what college he would go to. All that shit changed. I went from having these high goals and expectations for I just want him to be alive and be happy and spend my life knowing him. That was it. And that trauma can define you for a while as well. It can latch onto you. It can make you very fearful if you're not careful. So I see these people reaching close to my age, and they seem to become more desperate to impose their will on the world. They seem to become more intent on forcing nature to conform to their expected biases and beliefs about things. And I think that's where most of the problem is. Now, we could look back at our life. Some of us have done a few things. I've done 2 branches of military service. I got very fit. I I became a very skilled martial artist. I'm well read. I'm educated. There's a lot of things I have done that there's a lot of things I've done and accomplished that I'm proud of. That being said, financially I've struggled. Oh my God. Did not learn the skills of finance and how to handle finances properly. I've learned especially to reject the expectations people have in the workplace. I've found out, the one thing I'm going to say here is, I have found out that I do not like working for other people. Okay? Many of you can relate to that. And my dog. I'm going to have to yell at my dog. Give me a moment. Raven! Hey! Hey! Get back here! Right here, right now! My little dog, she's so cute. But I'm afraid she'll get run over by these maniacs in a truck, right? She's my best behaved child, and she's still a shit. Hey! Get back here. So, anyway, I have to take an objective look, step outside myself, show a little bit of metacognition. And by the way, I hope this wind here doesn't muffle me. I'm going to invest in a good microphone, so bear with me, please. But anyway, I would say that especially in workplaces, people try to impose their will on you. They almost see you, if you work for them, they almost see you as property, right? I've pretty much been working freelance, although this company I've been working for online is starting to become kind of shitty. But so I'm trying to go more and more freelance as I move about. But yeah, you start to realize people's egos, insecurities, they do project them on you in the workplace as well. And it is also problematic. That being said, I like doing my own thing. I'm becoming more rebellious. I figured out enough that if I had to define my life at this point, I would say I've become that much more of an anti-authoritarian. I don't like other people imposing their insecurities and their will on me. I like helping people. I like being of service to people. I like working for people who appreciate what I'm trying to do in my efforts, more so than even what I'm being paid. But yeah, I think we got to find our own way, our real identity. I think that's the heart of not having a midlife crisis. Being yourself, being genuine, being objective, having metacognition, and don't be that old cringy guy who tries to reclaim his youth by acting like the modern youth around him. There's something really fucking weird about that. And take care of yourself physically. I work out all the time. I do not feel much different than I did in my 20s. I'm a little heavier, a little fatter. Yeah, I gotta quit eating pizza and fucking ice cream. But I'm 50 fucking one, right? So, I'm gonna get out of here. This wind is kind of sucking. I hope that some of you find value in this. If you have something to say, please say it. I enjoy good conversation. And I will see you next time.